Exclusive contract from Feilu Novel Network Novel. Food. Kindergarten becomes a chef. Parents don't leave. Lin Xuan from Nanke Yimeng has won the global culinary god throne in his past life and the year of coronation, and now he has become a graduate of Blue Box Technical School. After years of being a hotel squid, he eventually became a kindergarten chef under his mother's nagging. What are you most skilled at? The 36D beautiful principal looked at his resume and asked. Well, use a computer-controlled excavator to stir-fry vegetables. Okay, you're hired. What? In this way, Lin Xuan became a chef in the spring kindergarten, starting his unique culinary life. Mr. Lin, look at it. My aunt's thighs are white, thin, and long. Would you be my aunt's husband? A kindergarten child was lifting up his aunt's skirt while shouting to Lin Xuan. Today I'm going to pick up my child from kindergarten, no one should compete with me. In the family, grandparents and parents are competing for someone to pick up their child, blushing and hearing red. Isn't it true that the kindergarten can bring food to parents today? What about mine? Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Nanke Yimeng, the kitchen god of the past and the present. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Dingling bell, hey, who is it? Son of a bitch, am I your mother? It's already 9 o'clock in the morning, isn't your kid still up? I'll tell you, I entrusted your aunt's cousin's uncle to find this job opportunity for you. If you mess up with me again, be careful, I'll peel your skin. On the pristine white bed, a young man was placing his phone 15.68 centimeters away from his ears, listening to the constant nagging sound from his mother over there. After the voice on the phone became quieter, he spoke up. Mom, how could it be? I was preparing for the interview early this morning, and I woke up before 6 o'clock in the morning. Don't worry, I will definitely go to work honestly this time. What he said is really without blushing or jumping. If it weren't for him lying in bed wearing only a big underpants at this moment, maybe I would have believed it. Really, Xiao Xian? It's not that Mom said you said you've graduated from Blue Box Technical School for so long, and you've been looking for several jobs. But it won't be long before you fire them. It's not a good thing to keep going like this. Listen to Mom, we must have a good interview this time. Upon hearing the voice on the phone, the man helplessly said. Mom, you don't know that I fired them all for a reason. Who would let them use gutter oil, pre-made vegetables, and zombie meat to deal with diners? This is not in line with my purpose. Okay. What you said makes sense, but Mom can't say anything about you. However, it is said that there are many beautiful girls in your company this time. You must grasp them well and strive to bring them back to your mother when you come back this year for the Chinese New Year. If you come back alone this year, don't blame me. Before he could finish speaking, the man kept his phone away from him and shouted loudly. Mom! You! Say! What? Letter? Number? No, okay. Hang up first. Then, with a lightning-fast and deceitful attitude, he hung up his phone. Who? Sigh. I just graduated a year ago, why did my mother start to enter the stage of urging marriage? Ah. The joy of being single, Mom, you don't understand. As he spoke, the young man lay down again without any intention of preparing for the interview. The body was fully unfolded, forming a large letter that occupied the entire bed, making it very comfortable. If you find a daughter.in.law, and the bed still doesn't score 3 quarters, your mind is not bad. It's great to be single. The man in front of me, named Lin Xuan, graduated from the chef major at Blue Box Technical School and is currently unemployed at home. Thanks to the excellent genes of my parents, with a height of 1.8 meters and a handsome face, walking on the road has a high rate of turning heads. Years of chef training have made one's figure appear particularly slender and straight. After all, the thousands of daily spoon training sessions are not just for fun. Don't believe it? Just take a look at the T-shaped abs on the bed. After all, he's still only wearing a big pair of shorts. In addition, Lin Xuan has a secret that no one knows, which is that he once lived in another parallel world for a lifetime. In that era, he was solely focused on culinary skills and defeated top chefs from various countries in his prime, winning the title of global food god in one fell swoop. Compared to his current life, he was much stronger. However, after waking up from his dream, he realized that he had not forgotten his past experiences, to the extent that he was amazed by his boss on his first job application at a hotel. He offered a salary comparable to that of a chef, but Lin Xuan still fired him. There's no way, who wants them to use inferior gutter oil? Lin Xuan reported it to them in just one phone call. The hotel has been set a deadline for rectification, and of course, I am unable to go to work. Later on, the situation was similar, such as pre-made dishes, zombie meat, and expired foods. The behavior of waiting has been reported repeatedly by Lin Xuan. As a kitchen god in his previous life, he did not allow himself to use these things to make food for diners. But this has also led to a result: Lin Xuan has not yet found a job. He's not in a hurry, but his mother at home is in a hurry. Staying at home every day, won't you become an otaku after a long time? Where can I find a girl like that? If I can't find a girl, I won't be able to report my grandson. That's not acceptable. So, various connections and inquiries were made everywhere. Not long ago, we finally found a place to recruit chefs and guaranteed that the previous situation would not happen. Anyway, Lin Xuan should go for an interview to see. Ding-ling-ling. The ringing of the phone on the bed rang again, and Lin Xuan, who had planned to take a nap, looked at the caller ID and eventually gave up on the idea. Chapter 2. Gate Guard Mr. Chin. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Riding on my beloved little motorcycle, it will never get stuck in traffic. Amidst a roar, Lin Xuan's slightly second-tier singing could be faintly heard, attracting strange gazes from passers-by around him. Lin Xuan, who was awakened by his mother's second phone call, had no choice but to wake up and tidy up. He rode his motorcycle and headed towards today's interview company. There's no way, he knows his mother's personality well. If he doesn't agree anymore, his mother can bring her father to kill here, then tie him back in all sorts of ways, and the rest will be blind dates every day. Jimu Mo Ruozi believes that his mother can definitely do this. 118, Furong Street, the address is correct. Lin Xuan looked at the address his mother sent him on his phone, then at the building in front of him, and for a moment he fell into confusion. Spring Kindergarten. The 6 glittering characters told Lin Xuan that his mother had worked tirelessly to find a job in a kindergarten. It's not the 5-star hotel, high-end restaurant, or even a roadside fly restaurant that I imagined. It is a kindergarten. To become a chef in kindergarten. This idea immediately came to Lin Xuan's mind. He took off his helmet, took out a box of red Pagoda Mountain from his pocket, flicked his index finger, and a cigarette stood out accurately from the box. With a tilt of his head, he bit the popping cigarette into his mouth, and as he turned his hand, a lighter appeared in his hand from somewhere unknown. Pop it. A crisp sound sounded, and a blue flame rose. Lin Xuan took a deep breath of his cigarette, holding his phone and lost in thought for a moment. Not to mention, his posture of riding a motorcycle, standing on one leg and smoking a cigarette still has a hint of melancholy. The passing girl, seeing his resolute and melancholic face, may also be tempted. But with the sound of a voice, all of this became illusions again. What do you do? Put out the smoke, don't you know if this is a kindergarten? Smoking is prohibited. With the sound of the voice, a hale and hearty old man also walked out of the gatehouse of the kindergarten. His security uniform clearly told Lin Xuan that he had the final say here. Handsome for only 3 seconds, upon hearing the words of the security guard, he quickly extinguished the cigarette in his hand and smiled, saying, "Sorry, sir. Isn't this outside the kindergarten? Be sure to pay attention next time." Seeing that Lin Xuan had a good attitude and the old man's face was no longer so serious, he asked with a hint of caution. "Not even outside. This is the future flower of our motherland, which must be taken care of with care. Young man, are you here for anything in our spring kindergarten? It's better to ask clearly about some things. Although the young man in front of you may not look like a bad person, knowing the person in the face is not knowing the heart. If it were a human trafficker pretending, it would be terrible. The safety of the entire kindergarten lies solely on oneself, and any potential danger must be eliminated in the bud." At this moment, Grandpa Chin, the gatekeeper, firmly thought in his heart that as long as he was present, no one would want to touch the children in the garden at all. Upon hearing Grandpa Chin's inquiry, Lin Xuan hesitated for a moment and said truthfully, "Grandpa, it's like this. I heard that the park is recruiting chefs, and I came here to apply." "Chef? You?" Suddenly, Grandpa Chin's voice increased by 8 degrees, and he looked at Lin Xuan with an incredulous expression on his face. He didn't expect that he was actually a chef. "Isn't it true that chefs have big heads and thick necks? The old ding who left before is like this. This young man is so good-looking, how could he possibly be a chef?" Grandpa Chin muttered to himself, no matter how he looked at Lin Xuan, he didn't seem like a chef. Grandpa, can you help me ask if I need to hire a chef? If not, I'll leave first." Lin Xuan couldn't help but ask when he saw that Grandpa Chin had not spoken for a while. Now he actually really wants to hear the master say that there are no plans to recruit chefs in the park, so that he can go back and maybe even catch a nap. There is also an explanation from my own mother. However, Grandpa Chin's next words shattered his imagination and he only listened to what Grandpa said. "Oh. That's what's going on. A few days ago, the chef in the garden, Lao Ding, had an accident at home and hurriedly left. I am indeed recruiting new chefs recently. I will call the principal and let him know. Please wait a moment." After speaking, Grandpa Chin walked into the security room and picked up the phone to make a call. I vaguely heard the sound coming from inside. "Principal, there is a handsome young man coming to apply for a position as a chef." Okay, In no time, Grandpa Chin, the gatekeeper, walked out of the security room and said to Lin Xuan. "All right, young man, walk inside. The second building on the left is 308 on the 3rd floor, which is the principal's office. Let's leave the car outside. I'm here, I can't lose it. Back then, I also rode a motorcycle all over the street, and there were still many school flowers chasing me. As Mr. Chin spoke, he seemed to have fallen into some or a few beautiful memories of the past and had forgotten about Lin Xuan in front of him. Upon seeing this, Lin Xuan didn't bother others anymore. He got off the car and walked towards the kindergarten. Chapter 3. 36D Beauty Principle. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Big, very big. This is Lin Xuan's first impression of this kindergarten. The scale of this kindergarten has far exceeded that of a typical kindergarten, and it seems that a large part of the space is still idle. Of course, Lin Xuan only felt a little strange in his heart and didn't think much before walking towards the principal's office. 308308308 found it, it's this one. Arriving at the 3rd floor, Lin Xuan kept muttering 308, and soon found the office in the center of the corridor. Dong dong dong. Lin Xuan bent his fingers and knocked on the door 3 times, and soon a cold voice rang out from inside. "Please come in." After receiving permission, Lin Xuan pushed the door open and entered. When he saw the person behind his desk, Lin Xuan's first reaction was, Big, big, very big. I saw a beautiful woman wearing an OL outfit sitting behind the desk, with beautiful black hair. When I saw Lin Xuan come in, her pretty face showed a hint of curiosity. Of course, these are all secondary, and what caught Lin Xuan's attention were the two towering buildings that were about to emerge. There is a wonderful word 36D that describes her. For a moment, Lin Xuan looked forward to the unbearable button popping open like this, which was also good. Lin Xuan, have you forgotten the joy of being single? As for food and color, we need to have an appreciative eye for beautiful things. Mine, it's all mine. For a moment, various sounds came to Lin Xuan's mind, but in the end, he was summoned back to reality by a cold voice. Hello. May I ask if there is anything I can do? Seeing that Lin Xuan didn't speak up, Su Bingyun spoke up first. Upon hearing the other party's inquiry, the various sounds of battle in his mind also temporarily disappeared, and he quickly said. I'm Lin Xuan. I came over today to apply for the position of chef. Here is my resume. As he spoke, Lin Xuan handed over his resume. Are you Lin Xuan? I heard my uncle mention it before. I don't know what your favorite dish is. Su Bingyun flipped through her resume and casually asked. For this question, Lin Xuan is really facing difficulties. As a culinary god, he can say that every dish is his specialty, or that every dish is not his specialty. After thinking for a long time, Lin Xuan touched it and said with uncertainty. The most skilled one should be using a computer to control an excavator to stir-fry vegetables. Upon hearing Lin Xuan's words, Su Bingyun's hand flipping through his resume paused for a moment, then looked up at the man in front of him before finally speaking up. Okay. You have been hired. During the probationary period, the salary is 3,500 yuan. After becoming a regular employee, the salary is 6,000 yuan and the employee pays 5 insurances and 1 fund. Upon hearing Su Bingyun's words, a big question mark instantly appeared on Lin Xuan's head. Was his unreliable answer still accepted? Does he feel that the 36D beautiful principal in front of him has a problem with his brain? Sure enough, after God opens a door for you, he will also close the window for you. Am I hired? Lin Xuan pointed his index finger at him and said with some disbelief, it was really difficult for him to accept such a top-notch 36D beauty in front of him, and his brain would not be very good. That's right, you're hired. There is still an hour and a half left until the children in the kindergarten start eating. It depends on your performance today at noon, so there should be no problem, right? Su Bingyun looked at her watch and said playfully to Lin Xuan. Looking at her slightly provocative gaze, Lin Xuan smiled happily. No problem. Just 3 words, but they reveal immense confidence. At that moment, Lin Xuan's confident expression made Su Bingyun also feel a little dazed. However, soon she regained her senses and picked up the phone to make a call. Soon, a petite woman walked in. Principal, you're looking for me. The little girl respectfully said to Su Bingyun. Let me introduce you, this is Zhou, the logistics manager of our kindergarten. She is also responsible for the procurement of the kitchen. Of course, you can also purchase your own ingredients and go back to Zhou for reimbursement. The premise of all of this is that you can make meals that satisfy the children today. After speaking, he said to Zhou again. Wen, this is the chef who came for an interview today. Lin Xuan. Take him to the kitchen later, and he will prepare lunch. Upon hearing Su Bingyun's words, the little girl Zhou smiled sweetly at Lin Xuan. Mr. Lin, time is tight. Let me take you to the kitchen. Lin Xuan looked at the little beauty in front of him, or could also be called little lowly. If there is one word to describe Lin Xuan's first impression of her, it is ping, very ping, very ping. She stood with Su Bingyun in 2 completely different styles of beauty. Upon hearing Zhou Wen's words, Lin Xuan nodded and bid farewell to Su Bingyun before following Zhou Wen towards the kitchen. After Lin Xuan left, Su Bingyun sat back in his chair and remembered what his uncle had said at the time. Ice clouds. Don't worry, this kid is the most outstanding new generation in the old Lin family. Can your uncle still trick you? Thinking of this, Su Bingyun looked at the two people leaving from the window and suddenly smiled, causing the flowers in the entire office to shyly close their stamens. I only heard her murmur. Just because you can't stand hotels using inferior ingredients, that's enough. For a kindergarten, a conscientious chef is stronger than anything else. Chapter 4. Longan Baozi. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Mr. Lin, this is our kitchen. The ingredients are all in the safe, so we can only use these ingredients today. It's too late to make any further purchases. Soon, Lin Xuan was led by Zhou Wen to the kitchen. As soon as he entered, Lin Xuan's eyes couldn't help but brighten. The kitchen utensils were neatly arranged on the workbench, and the whole kitchen was clean and tidy, making people feel very comfortable at first glance. Lin Xuan didn't hesitate, went to the safe, looked at the existing ingredients, and quickly decided on the food to be cooked for the children this afternoon. Take off your coat, pick up a brand new set of work clothes hanging on the wall, and put it on. The whole person instantly changes. Take out a piece of pork from the safe and weigh it with your hand, causing the layers of pork to shake. This is a top-quality pork belly, evenly fat and lean, with 6 layers of meat and a clean pig skin. Putting the pork on the chopping board, Lin Xuan smiled and said to Zhou Wen not far away. This pork is not bad, it's still plain pork. Are you a very skilled logistics manager? Upon hearing Lin Xuan's praise, Zhou Wen couldn't help but show a proud smile on her face. That's right, for what children eat, we definitely want the best. In fact, when it comes to the quality of meat, she didn't distinguish it so clearly. She just told the butcher that she wanted the best and most expensive. Upon hearing Zhou Wen's words, Lin Xuan nodded. He liked this responsible attitude towards diners. Before processing pork, first prepare the noodles and open the cabinet next to it. A strong wheat aroma rushes towards Lin Xuan, and the white flour-like appearance tells him that this is all high-gluten flour, making it perfect for making buns. Pour flour into a basin, fill it with water in a porcelain bowl, add yeast, stir clockwise while adding water. With Lin Xuan stirring, the flour quickly turned into a dough. Cover it with plastic wrap and let it ferment in the sunlight. In order to speed up the fermentation process, Lin Xuan also added a small amount of white sugar to it. This not only accelerates the fermentation process, but also has a light sweet taste, which is very suitable for children's tastes. Zhou Wen next to her was like a supervisor, watching Lin Xuan's every move. After all, it's better for a newly hired chef to keep an eye on one thing, and whether or not they can make things that children like to eat is not important. These days, there have been dedicated people delivering meals to the children in the park. Even if Lin Xuan fails today, the children won't be able to go hungry. Oh, why did he brew tea? Suddenly, Zhou Wen saw Lin Xuan's actions and couldn't help but feel a hint of doubt in her heart. After Lin Xuan's expression, he didn't continue and instead calmly brewed tea leaves. Is it because I'm thirsty and want to drink on my own? But the next action made Zhou Wen feel confused again. Lin Xuan did not drink the brewed green tea, but instead poured it all out. Just as Zhou Wen was puzzled, he brewed it again. Now, Zhou Wen couldn't help but ask in a low voice. Mr. Lin, what are you doing? Upon hearing Zhou Wen's inquiry, Lin Xuan turned his head and saw her fingers pointing towards the tea he had just poured out. It was then that he understood and smiled, saying, "What I'm going to make today is longan buns, and I need to use golden hooks, which are dried shrimp. I have to say, your kitchen is pretty good." I took a look at the variety and quality of the dry goods. After soaking this dried shrimp, there will be a faint fishy smell. Adults may not have much to eat, but children's sense of smell is much more sensitive than adults. So, I'm going to use tea to soak my hair and remove the slight fishy smell. Upon hearing Lin Xuan's explanation, Zhou Wen's beautiful eyes flowed and she knew that children's sense of smell was more sensitive than adults. Many times, children can smell odors that they cannot smell themselves. I didn't expect the man in front of me to consider everything so comprehensively. She couldn't help but take a few steps forward and continued to ask. Why did you pour out the freshly brewed tea? Lin Xuan poured the tea from the teapot again while explaining. Although soaking tea can remove the fishy smell, if the taste of tea leaves is too strong, it can actually take away the freshness and sweetness of shrimp meat. The first 2 brews of tea had a strong taste and were not suitable, but the 3rd brew was just right. Of course, it also depends on different types of tea. The legendary Wui de Hongpo is a top-notch tea that can be brewed 8 times without changing its taste. The quality of this green tea is decent, 3 times is enough. After speaking, pour the tea that has been brewed 3 times into a bowl, add dried shrimp, and start soaking. At this moment, Zhou Wen was like a primary school student, stunned by Lin Xuan's words. However, from Lin Xuan's handling of the ingredients, it can be seen that this must be a responsible chef towards the diners. And their kindergarten needs such chefs. Chapter 5. Serious men are most charming. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Time is tight, and at this moment, Lin Xuan can no longer care about Zhou Wen, who looks like a primary school student next to him. He placed the pork on the chopping board, picked up a cutting knife, and quickly cut it. If there is a professional chef present, you can see that although Lin Xuan cuts quickly, each cut is so precise, and the knife cuts down along the texture of the pork. In the blink of an eye, a large piece of pork belly turned into pieces of pork of different sizes. Click. With a crisp sound, Lin Xuan placed the kitchen knife back on the knife holder. Zhou Wen saw this scene and was about to speak when she saw Lin Xuan take a deep breath and pick up 2 larger chopping knives from the knife holder. Dudue. As Lin Xuan waved his hands, the speed became faster and faster, and the chopping knife made a aggressive sound when it came into contact with the cutting board. Just like rhythmic notes, they entered Zhou Wen's ears. This also made her swallow what she wanted to say. In fact, just now she wanted to tell Lin Xuan that there was actually a meat grinder in the kitchen. However, seeing the scene before her, she felt that even if she told Lin Xuan, the other party wouldn't use it. A serious man is the most handsome, and the world will not deceive me. In a short period of time, the little girl Zhou Wen has gone from doubt to belief, and now to admiration. A pair of big eyes, blinking and staring at Lin Xuan, watching him slash into the air with a knife, not to mention, it's really quite charming. After chopping the meat filling, add a simple seasoning and wait for it to slowly taste. And at this point, the dough is already about ready, and the next step is another delicious key to Longan buns. Kneading the dough. If there is a template for kneading noodles in China, Zhou Wen feels that Lin Xuan's kneading technique is definitely the most standard template at this time. Between pinching and kneading, it appears so harmonious and powerful in beauty. I don't know how long it took, but a large piece of dough has turned into smooth bun skins like silk, neatly arranged on the panels, waiting for the final fit. The Baozi skin and meat filling are all ready, the rest is Baozi. Don't think that wrapping buns is just about wrapping the meat filling with dough, as it involves the most basic and important technique. The reason why Longan buns are called Longan buns is because of their shape. A hole needs to be left at the top of the bun, but when it needs to be steamed, the meat juice inside the bun cannot flow out, which requires special techniques. Of course, this is not difficult for Lin Xuan, who is a culinary god. He held the Baozi skin in his left hand, put the meat filling in his right hand, and then added a dried shrimp soaked in tea. Quickly fold your right hand clockwise along the edge, and in the blink of an eye, a bun is ready. At the top of each bun, there was a hole the size of a dragon's eye, surrounded by a pile of folded arches. Zhou curiously counted them, and each one was 18-fold, neither too much nor too much. Wow! Look at this bun. Surprisingly, the number of folds is the same for each one. How did you do it? Woo-woo, I can't even imagine what the children would look like when they see these buns. At this moment, Zhou was like a little girl, constantly talking on the side. Not to mention anything else, the process of making steamed buns alone conquered her. This steamed bun is not only beautiful, but also even more delicious. Wait until it's steamed, you'll know. Lin Xuan listened to Zhou startled voice and said with a smile. At this point, he had already put all the steamed buns into the steamer, checked the time, and by the time the kindergarten children were eating, the buns had just come out of the pot. Looking at the steamer in front of him, Lin Xuan said with some regret. This Longan bun is best steamed in a small bamboo steamer. But now we can only use this large steamer for now. Upon hearing Lin Xuan's words, Zhou silently recited them several times in her heart, firmly remembering them. She has already decided to buy a bamboo steamer tomorrow. How could such a skilled craftsmanship have flaws due to inappropriate tools? Isn't this my negligence as the logistics supervisor? This is absolutely not allowed. At this moment, Zhou had already forgotten that Lin Xuan in front of her was just a probationary chef. Or rather, after witnessing Lin Xuan's craftsmanship, she already believed that Lin Xuan would definitely be left behind by the principal. In the kindergarten restaurant, 7 or 8 teachers are placing today's lunch one by one on the dining table. Since the chef in the garden suddenly left due to some business a few days ago, they have been ordering meals from outside for the past few days. However, this is only a temporary measure and cannot last long. Fortunately, today the principal hired a chef, but I don't know how good his cooking skills are. Yali, go to the kitchen and see if lunch is ready. At this moment, Principal Su Bingyun said to a beautiful woman with big waves. Okay, Principal, I heard that the chef you hired this time is still a handsome young man. Can you handle it? Song Yali smiled coquettishly and said, her voice very charming. Chapter 6. Zhou, completely trapped, readers greatly. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Zhou, what are you doing? Song Yali widened her eyes and looked at Zhou in disbelief, her mouth full of oil as she ate a bun in one hand. What about the serious lowly supervisor in the past? How could she become a foodie now? Song Yali couldn't believe what she saw with her eyes. Upon seeing Song Yali come in, Zhou hesitated for a moment, then picked up the steamed bun she had already eaten halfway and handed it to her. Excitedly, she said. Yali, hurry up and taste it. This steamed bun is so delicious. This is the best steamed bun I've ever eaten in my life. Looking at the steamed buns with Zhou saliva still lingering in front of her, Song Yali pushed them away with a hint of disgust and turned her gaze to Lin Xuan beside her. TSK. He's really a handsome guy. Looking at Lin Xuan, who had a slender figure, she couldn't help but secretly praise him twice in her heart, and then smiled and said. Hello, I'm Song Yali, a music teacher from kindergarten. What's going on? As Song Yali spoke, she pointed to Zhou, who was enjoying her meal nearby, and asked curiously. Hello, my name is Lin Xuan, the new chef. After speaking, he glanced at Zhou next to him, and Lin Xuan's face couldn't help but show a helpless expression. The matter needs to start from 3 minutes ago. When Lin Xuan opened the steamer, the plump and white buns appeared in front of the two of them. On the delicate and smooth outer skin, 18 pleats surround a circular hole. From here, you can see the fresh and tender meat filling inside, which is shimmering with oil. With the vibration of steam, you can vaguely see the rolling of juice inside. What's even more deadly is that at the moment the steamer is opened, the long accumulated aroma suddenly wafts out and fills the entire kitchen in an instant. Wow. It smells so good. Is this the longan bun you're talking about? Not to mention it, it's really quite similar. As Zhou spoke, she kept twitching her nose and inhaling the aroma of the room, her whole being like a little greedy cat. Seeing her like this, Lin Xuan picked up a bun, handed it to her, and smiled, saying, "How about trying the taste of this steamed bun first?" Looking at the white, tender, and fragrant buns in front of her, Zhou unconsciously swallowed her saliva and resisted the temptation, saying, This is not good. It's not time for dinner yet, I ate it in advance. This is not." Before he could finish speaking, Lin Xuan interrupted him and only heard him say, "Whether this steamed bun tastes good or not, someone must try it. If it doesn't taste good, wouldn't that be irresponsible to the children? I think it would be perfect if the logistics supervisor of the kindergarten could taste it." Upon hearing Lin Xuan's words, Zhou was momentarily stunned. With her silly and cute appearance, she really wanted someone to touch her. "That's right, you're right. As the logistics manager of the kindergarten in spring, my position is second only to Principal Su. For the safety of the children, let me taste it first." Quickly, Xiaoyulai reacted and nodded, speaking seriously. If his throat wasn't swallowing saliva crazily, maybe Lin Xuan would still believe it. Looking at her adorable appearance, Lin Xuan suddenly felt that being a chef here was also good. "Oh, this steamed bun is not so hot." Zhou carefully picked up the buns with her hands and said with a surprised expression. "Looking at the steamed bun, I didn't expect it to not be too hot." With a gentle squeeze, the entire bun sank, indicating its excellent elasticity. At this moment, Zhou couldn't care about anything else. With just one bite, she bit down like a little kitten. The first bite is mostly made of Baozi skin, which is soaked in soft soup inside and full of elasticity outside. On the second bite, the skin and filling entered Zhou mouth together, and the strong impact was simply incomparable to the first bite. Oops. At this moment, Zhou tightly closed her lips and made an inexplicable sound in her nasal cavity. At this moment, she dared not open her mouth to speak, afraid that if she opened her mouth, the delicious meat juice would flow out. Taking a bite, the soup inside the bun instantly filled the entire mouth. This meat filling was handmade by Lin Xuan, and the taste was much stronger than that of machine-stirred. Chewing carefully, there is a bouncing sensation of shrimp meat wrapped in tender pork, without any fishy smell. Instead, there is a faint tea aroma, adding a touch of fragrance to the entire meat filling. In addition, the steamed bun skin full of wheat aroma will have a faint sweet taste at the end of the tongue, making this meat filling even more delicious. The meat filling and Baozi skin complement each other and achieve mutual success, which is the true charm of Longan Baozi. Wow! It's so delicious. This is the best steamed bun I have ever eaten. The slightly sweet steamed bun skin and the tender and juicy meat filling are an excellent combination, I still want to eat them. Woo-woo, Brother Lin, you must stay in our kindergarten. In the blink of an eye, Zhou fell into the deliciousness of longan buns and was eager to keep Lin Xuan in her own kindergarten. So that I can eat such delicious steamed buns every day. Women. It's just that shallow. How could Lin Xuan, who was the world's culinary god in his past life, only have such a longan bun? Looking at Zhou inexhaustible expression, Lin Xuan smiled and handed her 2 buns. So, there was the scene that just appeared. Chapter 7. How to make children obediently eat their meals. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yali, try it. I'm not lying to you. This steamed bun is so delicious. Suddenly, a bun was stuffed into Zhou mouth without any warning. Woo-woo. Wow. It's so delicious. Her whole mouth was stuffed with buns, and Song Yali could only make a whimpering sound. I took a big bite, and in an instant, the delicious meat juice exploded in my entire mouth. The steamed bun skin soaked in the meat juice became soft, sticky, and elastic. There was also a hint of sweetness that made it impossible to stop. One bite after another, and soon one steamed bun was eliminated. At this moment, Song Yali's beautiful eyes were shining brightly, staring fixedly at Lin Xuan. In her heart, there was only one thought. She must keep Lin Xuan. In this way, I can eat such delicious steamed buns every day. Mr. Lin, the steamed buns you made are really delicious. I believe the children will definitely like them. I sincerely hope that. Before he could finish speaking, he was interrupted by a burst of phone ringtones. Song Yali hurriedly took out her phone from her pocket and saw that it was the principal calling. Thinking of the task she had come to before, she quickly connected it. Hello. Yali, did he not prepare lunch? Don't wait, you and Wen come over quickly. The children have already started eating. At this moment, the three of them stood together, and Su Bingyin's voice came out clearly from the microphone. Listening to Su Bingyin's voice on the microphone, Song Yali first gave Lin Xuan an apologetic smile before saying, Principal, Mr. Lin has already prepared lunch. We'll take it to the cafeteria right away. Upon hearing Song Yali say that Lin Xuan had already prepared lunch, the phone fell into silence for a while, and it took a long time for the word good to be transmitted back. After hanging up the phone, Song Yali shouted to Zhou. Wen, stop eating. Let's move the steamed buns to the cafeteria. Oh, good. Do you need to leave some for our lunch? Zhou tried hard to swallow the steamed bun in her mouth and couldn't help but say as she looked at the white and chubby bun. Thinking that these buns were about to be eaten, an inexplicable sadness rose in her heart. At this moment, she thought so much that these buns belonged to herself. What are you thinking? There are so many steamed buns here, how could our children eat them all? Don't leave any ink stains, come over and carry it with me quickly. Not to mention, it's not light. Song Yali walked towards the steamer as she spoke. There are over 80 children in the kindergarten now in spring, and at first glance, there must be over 100 of these buns, which are definitely enough to eat. This Longan bun is much bigger than Xiaolongbao, about the size of an adult fist. One bun is enough for them to eat. Upon hearing Song Yali's words, Zhou nodded and walked to the steamer, carrying one with Song Yali towards the cafeteria. As for the remaining two, they naturally belong to Lin Xuan. Who makes them all weak women. In the kindergarten cafeteria in spring. At this point, the children in each class have already sat down under the guidance of the teacher, and eating is a challenge for both the teacher and the children. For kindergartens, doing activities in class is actually the easiest thing to do. Principal, the set meals we brought today are rice, beef and diced potatoes, vegetable hearts, and red date and mushroom soup. A kindergarten teacher reported to Su Bingyun. Since Chef Ding returned home due to an emergency, she will definitely come to the cafeteria to have lunch with everyone these days. Upon hearing today's set meal, Su Bingyun nodded, offering one meat, one vegetable, and one soup, which was quite good. However, letting these little ancestors obediently eat it is the most difficult thing to do next. Woo, I don't like eating potatoes. Xiaoming, can you help me eat these potatoes? I don't, the teacher said, I'll eat my own food, I won't help you eat it. I think the food my mother cooked is not delicious at all. I also want to eat the chicken legs made by my mother. I don't want beef, I want to eat big chicken legs. The rice is not delicious. I want to eat mantou. Sobbing. That's right, the above is the norm for some children. Making them eat every day is like tackling a difficult problem, and they must be coaxed to finish it. Of course, you can also resort to starvation, which is whether you like to eat or not. When you are hungry, you will naturally eat. If you adopt this method, then what awaits you is complaints from parents. Of course, there are also some children who are naturally suitable for cooking. Others take a bite and play for a while, and they will quietly find a place to eat their own food. This is relatively worry-free, but after all, it is only one of the few children like this. Suddenly, a fragrance filled the entire restaurant. The children, who were still making a fuss, stopped their movements for a moment, their small noses twitching uncontrollably, wanting to smell where the fragrance came from. Chapter 8. Cry, cry, all cry. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Not only did the children smell it, but even the teachers present smelled this tempting fragrance. Principal, do you smell it? It smells so fragrant. A teacher said to Su Bingyun beside him. Su Bingyun nodded. She already knew the source of the fragrance, and it must have been made by the chef she recruited today. I didn't expect the food he cooked to smell so fragrant, I just don't know what he's cooking. Soon, everyone present saw the source of the fragrance. I saw Zhou and Song Yali carrying a basket of buns towards the crowd, followed by a handsome young man, but no one knew Su Bingyun at the scene. Placing the 3 large steamed buns heavily on the table, Zhou excitedly said to Su Bingyun. Principal, this is the Longan bun made by Brother Lin, it's so delicious. Upon hearing Zhou address to Lin Xuan, Su Bingyun's eyebrows furrowed slightly. How could his capable general be conquered so quickly by the other party? Su Yuanchang, these are 3 steamed Longan buns, enough for the children to eat. Lin Xuan smiled and said something, then stood beside him. As for whether the task has been completed, it goes without saying, it depends on the performance of everyone and the children. Principal, who is this? The other teachers in the kindergarten looked at the handsome young man and couldn't help but ask Su Bingyun. Before Su Bingyun could speak, she heard Song Yali next to her smile and say. This is Lin Xuan, Chef Lin. The chef that our principal just hired today is really skilled. These buns are made by Chef Lin. How about it, it tastes delicious. Upon hearing Song Yali's words, everyone present nodded fiercely. Xiang, it's really delicious. I just want to have one now. 1. How can one be enough? Today, I went all out and won't lose weight anymore. At least I have to eat 3. Our principal still has the ability to quickly find a handsome and skilled chef. Nowadays, men who can cook are very popular. What's wrong? Are you interested? TSK, I think it would be more appropriate for you to be sworn brothers with him. Ah. So, won't we be able to have such delicious lunch every day in the future? Long live the principal, long live the handsome Lin. Everyone smelled the tempting aroma and their gaze towards Lin Xuan gradually became fiery. Lin Xuan, who was originally hiding his achievements and fame on the side, suddenly felt a bit overwhelmed. Without him, anyone who is looked at by a group of beautiful women with fiery eyes, even a master as strong as LV Xiaobu, may find it difficult to continue to parry. I don't know when it started, but the teaching industry has shown extreme imbalance. From elementary school to high school, the number of female teachers is much higher than that of male teachers, and some schools even have a ratio of 1.10 or higher. Whenever there is a male teacher in the school's recruitment this year, the leaders are very happy. This is someone who can work. Although gender equality has improved in society, some physical labor is still more convenient for men to use. So, this male teacher will spend a year of animal-like life. Kindergartens are even more exaggerated, with few male teachers going to learn early childhood education, just like kindergarten in spring, where only female teachers are in front of them. Some of them were enthusiastic and unrestrained, and their eyes towards Lin Xuan were full of aggression. At this moment, Lin Xuan was like a lamb that had accidentally fallen into a pack of wolves, trembling with astringency. Teacher, what's inside here? It smells so good. Ran wants to eat it. Suddenly, a childish voice interrupted everyone's imagination. They turned their heads and saw a group of children already surrounding them. Staring eagerly at the steamer on the table, a few drops of saliva occasionally dripped from the corner of my mouth. I also want to eat it, it smells even more fragrant than my mother's big chicken legs. Teacher, and me, I don't want to eat rice anymore. I want to eat the things inside. Woo, Yuer also wants to eat. Yuer is hungry, hurry up and give her something delicious to eat. Teacher, what's inside here? It smells so good. The children who were originally sitting in their seats couldn't bear the scent when they smelled it. As someone stood up and walked towards the source of the fragrance, more and more children gathered around, enveloping everyone tightly. One by one, they expressed their desire to eat steamed buns with childish voices. When the teachers saw everyone gathered around, they were also surprised and quickly comforted the children to go back. These buns were immediately distributed to everyone. However, if children are easily coaxed back, they are not worthy of the title of divine beasts. I just carried one back, and then 3 more came over immediately. Anyway, the children who are willing to sit in their seats are already among the few. A group of teachers in the kindergarten were caught off guard and flustered. Even Su Bingyun personally stepped down to help maintain order. Wow! I want to eat fragrant food. Woo, I also want to eat. Woo. The teacher is bad, he doesn't give me anything delicious to eat. Wow. I miss my mom. Suddenly, a child started crying, as if poking a hornet's nest. 1 crying person can drive 10 crying people, and 10 crying people can drive 100 crying people. There were not 100 children in the entire kindergarten, and for a moment, there were constant cries in the entire restaurant. Fortunately, no outsiders saw it here, otherwise they would have thought that the kindergarten had done something outrageous in spring. Chapter 9 is over, the entire kindergarten has fallen. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Duong. Suddenly, a knocking sound came, attracting everyone's attention. Even the children who were crying loudly forgot to cry in this moment. Following the sound, I looked up and saw a good-looking big brother standing on a stool, holding an aluminum basin in his hand. The sound I just made was from tapping it. He suddenly opened the steamer, and in an instant, a white smoke rose, making the aroma even stronger. When the white smoke dissipated, plump white buns appeared in front of everyone. Children who had already forgotten to cry, saw these buns that were both optimistic and fragrant, and immediately cried even harder. They really want to eat. Duong. Children, do you want to eat Longan buns? The sound of knocking on the aluminum basin rang out again, and Lin Xuan shouted loudly to the children around him. I want to eat. Good-looking big brother, I want to eat steamed buns. Woo, uncle, give me steamed buns and I won't cry anymore. I want to eat it, Nini wants to eat steamed buns. Uncle, give it to me quickly. Upon hearing Lin Xuan's words, the children all stopped crying and answered with all their might. The best way for children to stop crying is to meet their demands. Upon hearing the children's answers, Lin Xuan nodded in satisfaction and continued. That's good. Those who want to eat steamed buns obediently line up and come to my brother's place one by one to collect them. These delicious buns, my brother will only give them to obedient children. I am an obedient child. I need to queue up to eat steamed buns. Teacher, where should I be? Great. You'll be able to enjoy the delicious steamed buns soon. Upon hearing Lin Xuan say that everyone could get steamed buns by queuing up, the children stopped crying and lined up one by one to find their seats. For queuing, they are probably the most skilled at it. After all, every day when leaving school, it is the school gate that lines up. Seeing the children stop crying and start queuing up, the teachers in each class breathed a sigh of relief and quickly arranged for them. As Su Bingyun watched the children line up in an orderly manner to lead the buns, a strange light flickered in his eyes as he looked at Lin Xuan. I didn't expect him to be so experienced in handling such things. Wow! This steamed bun is delicious. Look, look, I can eat meat directly from this cave. It's really fragrant, even more delicious than the big chicken legs my mother made. Just now, Big Brother said it's called Longan Baozi. Is this cave really Longan? I still want to eat Baozi tomorrow. Woo woo, I just finished eating rice and beef, and now I can't eat it anymore. Woo woo. The little bean cubes who received the buns stopped crying and sat upright in their seats, eating the buns. And a bun was also eaten in various ways by them, including those who ate meat directly from the top, those who ate meat first and then skin, and those who poured meat juice onto a plate and then ate the bun skin. The most pitiful ones are still those children who used to eat obediently. At this moment, they are looking at such delicious steamed buns, but unfortunately they can't eat them anymore. Miss Yun, try it quickly. This steamed bun is really, really delicious. Seeing that the children had all received steamed buns, Zhou couldn't help but run to Lin Xuan first. In front of Lin Xuan's slightly surprised gaze, she took 4 or 5 steamed buns in a row. Lin Xuan was very curious. The flat little loli in front of him, where did all the food go after eating so much? Although it can be said that a woman who lowers her head but does not see her toes can be considered a peerless beauty in the world. For a 36D like Su Bingyun, of course it can be achieved. But for a loli like Zhou, the only way to achieve it is to eat more and cover it with her own stomach. Some things, it's better not to force them. Looking at the steamed buns handed to her by Zhou, Su Bingyun originally wanted to refuse, but the fragrance that kept wafting into her nose made her swallow the words that came to her mouth. Reached out and picked up a bun, placed it on the edge of my mouth, and gently took a small bite. The wheat aroma carries a hint of sweetness, and the elastic outer skin is like a woman's skin, making people linger and forget to leave. The part soaked in meat juice is crispy and sticky in the mouth, and the aroma immediately fills the entire mouth. She couldn't wait to take another big bite, and now, the delicious meat filling and sweet steamed bun skin jumped together in her mouth. It was so delicious. Su Bingyun can take a photo of her 36D and swear that it is the best steamed bun she has ever eaten. In the blink of an eye, she ate up a bun. She quickly walked to the front of the steamer, looked at Lin Xuan, and said seriously, "I still need it." At this moment, there is no trace of her being a cold and aloof female principal. P.S. Dear readers, if you have free flowers and evaluation tickets in your hands, please support me. Thank you on your knees. Your support is the author's coding motivation. Chapter 10. He likes this feeling, readers are big. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the end, Su Bingyun, relying on his position as the principal, took 2 more Longan buns from Lin Xuan's hands and happily ate them on the side. While eating, she was talking to Zhou next to her. The little girl's head would occasionally nod and her eyes would smile like crescents. "Teacher, I also want to eat Longan buns. I didn't have enough just now." Suddenly, a chubby little guy walked over and looked at the few Longan buns left in the steamer, eagerly looking at Lin Xuan and saying, "No way." Before Lin Xuan could speak, Song Yali next to her spoke up to stop him. "Stone, you have already eaten a steamed bun. If you eat more, it will be a bit too much and you will have indigestion." What she said is actually true. The Longan buns made by Lin Xuan are quite large, and an adult man can eat 3 of them to be full. What? Has Zhou eaten 5 already? Some people cannot use common sense to estimate. After all, the ordinary little loli also has dreams. It's not that I'm reluctant to give children food, but I'm really afraid that eating too much will cause problems. Children want to eat more when they see delicious food, but they don't have much self-control. Eating too much can lead to indigestion, which is common. The boy named Stone, upon hearing his request rejected, pursed his lips and was about to cry again. "Teacher, I'm not full either." I want to have another steamed bun. Well, the Longan buns are delicious, and I also want to have another one. I want it too. I want it too, I want it too. Children all have a herd mentality. When they saw little fatty Stone going to ask the teacher for steamed buns, they all followed one by one. As more and more people gathered around, Su Bingyun couldn't help but feel a headache. I didn't expect that the food was so delicious and troublesome. While she was thinking about how to appease these little ancestors, she only heard Lin Xuan say beside her. Director Su, it's okay. Wait a moment, I'll boil some hawthorn water for the children to drink after meals, and I'm sure there won't be any problems. Feeling the heat emanating from her ear, Su Bingyun's cheeks blushed slightly. But upon hearing what Lin Xuan said, she couldn't help but feel a sense of reliance that she had never experienced before. Okay, then please trouble Teacher Lin. Su Bingyun nodded and then said to the children eating. Children, please be quiet. The remaining buns are not enough to be distributed individually. How about half of us each? The children who were originally about to cry shouted excitedly when they heard that they could eat Longan buns again. Okay. Sure enough, children never conceal their inner thoughts. Like is like, sad is sad. Seeing that there was nothing else to do here, Lin Xuan prepared to go to the kitchen and boil hawthorn water. This thing tastes sour and sweet, and is very popular among children. And it is also very effective in promoting food digestion. I really want to keep laughing, I really want to keep shining. Lin Xuan added water to the big pot while humming the theme song of Little Master that he had watched as a child. Sure enough, the middle and second attributes exist in every promising young person. From his singing voice, we can easily see that Lin Xuan is in a good mood at this moment, and he likes this feeling. Yes, that's right, he likes the smiles of the children just now. Only children can evaluate the quality of a food so purely, without any other factors mixed in. Good food is good, bad is not good. He likes the purest expression of food taste. Whether it was in the past or now, as people grow up, even if a dish is not cooked well, just because of the other person's identity, you must make a delicious expression. Not only in the culinary industry, but now some people in the entertainment industry always like to set up a chef's image, no matter whether it's delicious or not, the guest's evaluation is delicious, it's so delicious. Lin Xuan doesn't like it, very much. To some extent, he thinks it's an insult to the food. However, today the children expressed themselves from the bottom of their hearts, which made Lin Xuan very happy. There were not so many so-called worldly affairs and intrigues. Suddenly, he felt that being a chef here was also good. With this in mind, a picture suddenly came to mind of Su Bingyun holding the table with both hands and asking for Longan buns from himself. The unintentionally exposed snow-white ravines were even whiter and smoother than this Longan bun. Amitabha Buddha. Lin Xuan dares to swear to the heavens that he definitely saw it unintentionally and had no intention of taking advantage of it. Teacher Lin, it seems that you are in a good mood now. Suddenly, a voice rang out from outside the kitchen, causing Lin Xuan's hand holding a water ladle to shake suddenly. No wonder he just remembered in his mind that the head of the household came over immediately, thanks to years of shaking the spoon's arm strength, which prevented the water from spilling out. P.S. Dear readers, if you have free flowers and evaluation tickets in your hands, please support me. Thank you on your knees. Your support is the author's coding motivation.